Hello there. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Film Lads podcast. My name's Kirk, joined by Nolan and Victor. As always, say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
And today we're going to tackle a topic near and dear to my heart, the Criterion Collection. Now, I was thinking about getting a tattoo of their logo on my forehead. That's how much I love these fucking guys. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Criterion Collection is, they're just a company who releases a series of Blu-rays and DVDs of important classic and contemporary films from around the world. And in their words, they offer editions that offer the highest technical quality and award-winning or original supplements. So they include like essays behind the scenes about these films, really in-depth pieces. And they have some of the most essential like art house films in their collection. Just for example, Seven Samurai, the Bergman films come to mind. A ridiculous amount. They're almost approaching 1,000 titles now. So for this episode, we're each going to tackle 5 films we would theoretically like to see the Criterion Collection release.
Top 5.
Top 5. Our wish list, our Criterion wish list, if you will. Who wants to go first? I can go first. If you guys want.
Go for it.
All right.
You're on a roll. Might as well just go for it.
I did a bit of a Cinefix list here. Shout out to Cinefix. If you guys haven't seen them, the way they tackle their lists is they have subheaders in each category. I know Victor and Nolan, we're all big fans here.
Huge fans
of their lists. Just from our early days of Watch Mojo, like transitioning to that, the list Mojo. Quality, like it's inspirational, right? So that's why this is a Cinefix inspired list right here.
Cinefix as well has like brought my attention, similar to the Criterion Collection, they have brought my attention to a lot of great films that I love now.
Yeah. So there are many reasons why I pick some of these titles. My first category is overlooked or out of print classics. So these are films that I feel as though some people overlook, or there's no longer a good DVD or Blu-ray release of them available. So I feel as though the importance of these films should have a reason for Criterion to release them. And my honorable mentions are The Droughtman's Contract, The Tenant, Hard 8, and my number 5 pick, Four Bags Full. Now, you guys might have not heard of this film, but it was a comedy released during what Truffaut called the cinema of quality era. And it was a director that Truffaut hated. It was the main target of his big essay, Claude Honnête Lara. But Truffaut saw this film and saw so much potential of the director, and it just made it even more disappointing when the rest of his work was shite. But I fucking love this film, and it's so fucking hilarious, and so not many people have seen it. And the lead performance is Jean Gabin. Yeah, star of countless other classics. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like this film's really underrepresented in the context of French cinema. And it's just a great film. It's about 2 men, a painter and a poor guy, who travel across German-occupied France with a pig, which is like banned at the time. So it's in this black market context, and all these hijinks and several things happen. Definitely one of my favorite French comedies. So that's my number 5 pick.
Interesting.
Next?
Nice.
I think I might have heard of that film before, but I obviously have never seen it. That's an interesting pick.
It's definitely a very like
it's really out there.
Like I said, overlooked classic.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Like it only has 594 people have logged it on Letterboxd.
To be honest, the only reason I've seen this film is because of a streaming site called Mubi, which releases like one art house film a day. And they said Truffaut loved this film, and I'm a big fan of Truffaut, so I watched this film.
Right on.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I didn't come nearly as prepared as the Criterion lad over here, but speaking of French cinema, my pick is Irreversible, which maybe not be a surprise to Nolan and Kirk. You guys know I love this movie. You guys both love this movie as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a Blu-ray release either, so
Yeah, that's like the
Yeah.
main reason, I guess. Mainly because it doesn't really have a good Blu-ray release. And I think it would be a really interesting film to see some supplements for. I think there could be a lot of cool bonus features.
yeah, I want a supplement for that of just a montage of people walking out. Like,
Yes,
their
I would
reaction.
love that.
That would
Like-
be one of the best Criterion supplements of all time.
Like
Mhm.
there's a video on YouTube of critics walking out at when it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, but it's like a really shitty quality video, and like the subtitles. I don't even think you can get English subtitles for that video, but it's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a lot of unique things on that Blu-ray. I'd like to hear a lot of different perspectives of like. Obviously, we get some Gaspar Noé talking about the movie in there, but also I'd like to hear, some on-set stories like from Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel. I think those would be pretty interesting.
Another big topic I talk about, like, is and Criterion likes to talk about, is underrepresented types of films in the collection. And I think New French Extremity is very underrepresented. I think the only film that I can think of off the top of my head is Fat Girl that falls under that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I really want to watch that movie.
Yeah. Me too. I think. I don't know. I don't know much about Fat Girl, but yeah, really good pick.
Yeah,
Totally
I
agree.
mean, don't have too much to say. Mainly just because be interesting to see some supplements and the lack of a good release. So we'll move on to Nolan's.
Well, speaking of French cinema,
Ooh,
although this
oh.
is French Canadian cinema,
Oh yeah.
Denis
my
Villeneuve over
fifth choice. I don't have any honorable mentions. I came kind of unprepared, but my fifth choice for this is Incendie by one of my favorite directors, Denis Villeneuve. This movie to me is amazing, and it's one of the best films of the decade in my opinion. And I feel like it would be a great release for Criterion because even though it's one of the best films in Villeneuve's filmography and arguably his most acclaimed, it kind of gets lost in the wash in all his films. So what I mean is like when you're talking to other film fans and they're like, oh, have you seen any Denis Villeneuve films? And someone will be like, oh, what has he made? Everybody always says, oh, he made Prisoners, Sicario, Arrival, or like Blade Runner. They never... Bro, I love my Blade Runner. But I feel like not enough people mention this film, Incendie. And there are a couple other reasons why it's on my list too. One is because I tried watching it again on Netflix a while back, and there were no English subtitles.
Really?
So I was like, fuck, what is this? And
Yeah.
I couldn't find the DVD anywhere. So I was like, I feel like this would be a good Criterion release. One of the things the Criterion Collection likes to do is, pick a film from a famous director's filmography that doesn't get enough attention. And I feel like while it's a very critically acclaimed movie, it deserves more attention. And you guys have not seen Incendie, have you? Oh wait, no, Kirk, you've seen it,
I've
right?
seen it.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you had to say. Have you seen any other of Denis Villeneuve's French?
Yeah, I've seen Polytechnique. I've never seen Maelstrom or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I saw Next Floor, which was like a short film he made. But...
Because I'd be curious about those, because I know Maelstrom's like super out of print and really hard to find.
Yeah, that would be another good Criterion pick. I was thinking of that, but I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. But that definitely, he's such an upcoming and classic director that I feel like it'd be really important to have access to those early works of him, especially when studying him. And there isn't any good way of accessing it right now. So that would also be interesting.
The only way I accessed it was because I had to watch it back in high school for a school project, and like I was always kind of interested in that film, but because I had to watch it for maybe if I didn't have to watch it.
Incendie or Maelstrom?
Incendie.
Okay, I was talking about Maelstrom, but Incendie's like the Blu-ray release that I have, I think, is very lackluster. Like a Criterion release, they do so much to like go in depth into the production and all that of the film, I'd be really interested in that 100%.
Yeah.
It's a great choice.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Solid.
Moving on to my number 4 here, touching on like what you just said. These are my modern classics I'm going to look at. Some of my favorite films from the past decade. Tangerine from Sean Baker, The Witch, Dogtooth by Yorgos Lanthimos, Cavalry, What We Do in the Shadows, Stranger by the Lake, Mary and Max, and my number 4 pick, Good Time. I know the Safdie brothers are huge fans of the Criterion Collection, and Good Time was my favorite movie of 2017, and I know it would mean so much for the directors to get a film in the Criterion Collection, and part of me picked it just for that reason, just because I know they would freak out as film fans that they find like that's a point of finally making it. Again, it might have been more interesting for me to tackle their previous film. I forget the name of it, but like I haven't seen that, and I just love Good Times so much. And Safdie brothers have already worked with Criterion themselves. I know they did a top 5 horror movie list on the collection for Halloween 2 years ago, in 2017. So I don't know, I just love to see the Safdie brothers get a release of Good Time, and it's just one of my favorite movies, so that's why I picked it.
Good choice.
Yeah, moving on.
Good choice. I love that movie.
Yeah.
All right,
we're all big fans.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to my number 4, we got Gummo by Harmony Korine. I don't really want to say too much about this movie just because Kirk and Nolan haven't seen it, but the first time I watched this movie, it was just a very odd viewing experience for me. It was definitely one of the weirdest movies I've seen at the time, and it just kind of blew me away with its rough aesthetic and just its absurd quality. And I think you would really like it, Kirk. I don't know if you would like it, Nolan, if I'm being honest, but...
What do you mean?
No, nothing against you. It's just the reason I say Kirk is because have you seen Pink Flamingos or no? Not yet.
No, not yet. But
you're
I'm a huge John Waters.
You're a huge John Waters fan, and it kind of has that same aesthetic of just being like
super trashy.
Trashy.
That's part of the reason why
amateur.
I love
yeah.
Well, not the amateur part, but the trashy culture aspect. Part of the reason I love Sean Baker as well. So
yeah,
definitely a filmmaker I need to check out more of.
Yeah, you've seen Spring Breakers.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine a release of Gummo, just one of the special features, just including trash humpers with the release. That would be fucking amazing. Yeah. But yeah, Gummo is definitely a film that if it was released on the collection, I would definitely pick it up because based off of what you've told me and some other friends, I have needed to check out this film for a while.
Yeah,
and really like Nolan, I want you to watch it too. Obviously, I'd be curious to see what.
I feel like I'd like it. Like everybody praise. Oh, like a lot of people. You know, it has a lot of high praise. So
I don't know. The first time I watched it, I said in my review, like I could give the film like half a star or like 5 stars, and I feel like both would be justified. So.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now I'm even more interested in this movie.
So yeah, that's my pick. Not gonna say too much as you guys haven't seen it, but yeah, moving on to Nolan's number 4.
All right, my number 4. To be honest, like this, I just love this film so much. I don't really have like a great reason why it's on this Criterion list.
Well,
but
it's your list, man.
More people need to see this film. Criterion, fire it up. Thomas Vinterberg's The Hunt, 2012. Right now, it's my all-time favorite foreign film. It's the best foreign film I've ever seen, in my opinion. I don't want to say too much because neither of you guys have seen it.
No. I've been meaning to for a long time.
That seems to be like a trend in this podcast. It's films that neither the other two dudes have not seen, except for Good Time. Anyways, The Hunt is just, oh man, I've recommended it to so many people, and every time I say, "Have you ever seen The Hunt? Have you ever seen The Hunt?" Nobody's seen this movie, and
it was on Netflix for a good amount of time too.
Yeah, that's where I watched
it. They took it down.
Yeah, they took it down.
I remember watching the first 10 minutes of the movie, but
yeah, I've seen the first like minute, literally.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really tell too much.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, but it's not on there anymore.
This is one of the only movies that I've ever seen where like I literally forget that I'm watching a movie and I'm just like caught up in the story so much. And I almost, like part of judging a movie is like looking at the style and looking at the filmmaking techniques used to express like some kind of emotion or some kind of emphasis on certain moods and character. Whereas this film, I like completely, I've never like analyzed the filmmaking behind this movie. I just kind of get sucked into it so much. And I feel like a Criterion release would have a good like behind the scenes, maybe interviews, and go in depth on what I didn't look into, which is like how the movie was made and what the director's style, like what he was trying to go for specifically. But anyways, yeah, you guys should really see that movie because
for sure
it's insane. Like
both your picks there, both your number 4 picks are definitely films I need to check out. 100%.
I really need to explore Thomas Vinterberg's filmography.
Yeah, I really want to see the Celebration.
Yeah, the Celebration.
That's Vinterberg.
Well, right? He was part of that like movement with
Dogma?
that Danish movement. Yeah, Dogma with
95
Lars
with
von
Lars
Trier. Yeah,
which is a movement that I really enjoy.
Yeah,
from what I've
seen enough. Yeah,
and Gummo almost belongs to that. Well, it follows a lot of the rules of Dogma 95.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said earlier, a lot of like some of my picks represent underrepresented films in the collection. Like recently, they released Bull Dunn. What's that baseball movie? Because they were like, we didn't have a sports movie in the collection, so we need a sports movie. So they released a baseball movie into the collection. So that just made me like, you guys have so much more potential of like unreleased, influential, important movies that you haven't even touched upon. And that goes straight into my number 3 pick, the concert film, the concert documentary, which is, I know to me, this is obviously something that not everyone is familiar with or everyone likes. I think I know your pick. Yeah, I think my pick's obvious here. Yeah. My honorable mentions, the Martin Scorsese's The Last Waltz, classic, essential, really important and influential concert film, and Stop Making Sense with the Talking Heads.
Oh, that's what I thought was your pick.
No, it wasn't.
Interesting.
One of the top rated films on Letterboxd, but it already has a really good Blu-ray release. And there was another really important concert film of the 80s that doesn't have a Blu-ray or DVD release. And that's Chris Blum's Big Time, featuring Tom Waits.
Of course.
Yeah, this film...
We're going to bring him up in every podcast that we do.
Yeah.
You guys aren't. I will.
You will, yeah.
This film is considered one of the most important concert films of all time, and is considered super influential. Changes the game, basically, for the documentary concert film. But it's only available on VHS. You can't get it on DVD unless there are a few bootleg transfers of the VHS. Nerding out about this here. But also, this is important to note, there's a Facebook group called Get Tom Waits' Big Time into the Criterion Collection with 885 people who like the page. And I thought that was pretty funny. So I just want... it's one of my picks also, so I can mention that group. Please go follow it. Even if you're not a Tom Waits fan, just get the support. I need to see this movie, all right? I have a poster of it in my room. I've seen a really crappy quality of it on the internet, and I just need a Blu-ray transfer. So, Criterion Collection, please bless me and these 855 people on the Facebook page who want this movie, all right?
That's a good pick.
Good pick.
Yeah. All right, Victor.
All right. Speaking of music films, my number 3 pick would be The Wall, or Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Nice.
Fucking right.
A lot of what you said, like, there's no good transfer of this film.
Oh, a film that 2 of us have seen.
yeah. Well,
have you seen it?
No.
Right. Yeah, there's no good transfer of this film, and like you were saying about your pick, I think this film is very important too, and kind of revolutionary for what it did with like bringing albums into movies. Is it the only film that is? I don't think it's the only film that's done that, but I think it's one of the first.
Like there's one of the most influential.
One of the most influential,
and that's what Criterion is all about.
Mm-hmm.
They happen all the time, right? Like for example, 2 years ago, Beyonce released Lemonade.
The Lemonade, yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Lemonade on Criterion.
yeah, fantastic music, fantastic movie.
It's an amazing movie.
Yeah, from what
and
I've
like
seen.
You gotta watch it, Kirk.
The elements of like animation and stuff.
Yeah, the animation is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's not just like a trippy movie. It's like, and you don't necessarily have to be like a massive Pink Floyd fan to enjoy this film. Yeah, and there's a lot of big ideas going on with this movie too.
Definitely like politically charged and stuff. From what you guys have told me and stuff. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but are the music videos of the actual album itself part of the movie?
No.
Okay, they're different things. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that Another Brick in the Wall music video with the little kid or whatever.
I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure it's different.
Okay.
Or it might be similar. And like there's a lot of great metaphors in the film.
Worms.
The worms and I don't know, it's really hard to put it into words, but it's like I feel like it's an important story of like how youth and childhood and like your upbringing affects your adulthood, told with the concept of a rock album, which is just so unique.
Totally, and all the autobiographical elements in the film, like, I feel like could be integrated into the supplements in really interesting ways.
Yeah, you could get the band members. You could get like David Gilmour and Roger Waters especially.
Yeah.
Aren't they not very friendly with each other anymore?
Well, they've had a couple reunion concerts,
okay.
like for the Live Aid thing they did. But yeah, they're not very too friendly with each other. But you can get
and then,
both of them in separate interviews onto the DVD or something.
Yeah, and the
Especially
production behind the film was interesting. Like, I know it wasn't the best time shooting the film.
Yeah, I heard that too.
A lot of like intense artistic differences, I guess, between like the director and the band and whatnot. So I think there'd be a lot of interesting things to get out of that.
No, I agree.
All right, right on.
All right.
So I guess that's back to me with my number 2 pick.
No, it's on.
Oh wait.
Kirk.
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
You picked the
It's
one.
on Nolan.
Sorry.
All right. Well, this is a pick I'm quite a big fan of, obviously, and like you were saying, Kirk, you were talking about how films from certain movements or genres are underrepresented in the Criterion Collection, like sports movies and new extremism. Superhero movies. My number 3 pick is M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable. I think it's the most interesting superhero movie I've ever seen, probably, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I think that when everybody talks about M. Night Shyamalan, they talk about, like, I feel like there's a bad reputation behind him. Like, it's almost dangerous when you say M. Night Shyamalan's name in public. It's like you say his name and people go,
well, it's just a meme at this point.
Well, yeah, a lot of his new movies, they take his name off the posters, or like they don't even include his name in the posters or in the trailer.
Well, they do now, like with
Split, but for a while they didn't. Like,
for like After Earth,
like
they
that.
completely hit it.
Yeah,
but like I don't know, this film it's so subtle and it's kind of like I have it on DVD and I'm almost gonna throw it out because it's such a shitty DVD.
Such a shitty transfer.
Yeah, and even the copy that. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. There was a version on Netflix. Even that doesn't look as good as it could. So even a restoration behind this film would be great. Yeah, and it's like a really interesting, underrated superhero movie told in a very unique way that should be on the Criterion Collection. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so don't have anything to add there.
Yeah.
Well said, Nolan.
Well said.
Thanks.
Interesting pick.
So going back on that, another movement that is extremely underrepresented and probably my favorite, one of my favorite film movements of all time is Korean New Wave. So for this, I want to shout out a few directors. Kim Ki-duk, I'm probably going to pronounce these wrong, but Kim Ki-duk, Bong Joon-ho, Lee Chang-dong, and Park Chan-wook. Man, the three names there, that's what throws me off about them. Again, my favorite movie of all time is Oldboy, but that's not my pick here, all right? Memories of a Murder also, like, would have been
sorry to interrupt, that's like in my top 5 watch list. Like,
but there's no good transfer of it. It's super hard to find.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I haven't fucking seen that movie.
Mother, I've seen. It's brilliant, but my other pick was a movie that I have seen that is super hard to find, and that's 3 Iron by Kim Ki-duk. You guys might not be familiar with this film, but it's a 2004 film, so late into the movement, by the same director as Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring. And this film is fucking...
A little bit of Makioka Sisters going on. No, I'm kidding.
No, that movie's like about a monk or
I don't know,
something
man.
strange like that.
Passed
But
out.
Three Iron is like such a crazy and intense movie that no one's seen, and it's almost like a silent film. There's like very little dialogue in it. It was just an experience watching this film. I'd love to get a great Blu-ray transfer and get more Korean New Wave out there into the public. I think the only Korean New Wave film in the collection right now is Secret Sunshine, which is by director also who I want to like shout out, Lee Chang-dong, whose other films I haven't seen, but they're also really hard to find. Like a lot of these films are really, really hard to find, but well received. Like Poetry is a recent one. Oasis is like one of Sean Baker's favorite films. Burning just came out this year by the same director, and Burning was fucking insane. If you haven't seen that movie, highly recommend it. Yeah. Go see it. So yeah, Korean New Wave, make it happen.
Nice.
Criterion Collection. All right, Victor, number 2.
All right, my number 2 pick is the 1985 Russian war film Come and See. I own this film on DVD, and it's like a very horrible transfer, like really bad. So a lot of it is that I would like a Blu-ray transfer, but for my money, this is like the greatest war film of all time, in my opinion, and it probably has my favorite child performance of all time. The lead role is played by like a 15 or 16-year-old, and he is fantastic. And supposedly, I don't know if this is true, this sounds kind of weird, but the filming process was so intense that his hair actually started to gray when they were filming it.
Really?
Yeah, supposedly. So
damn, that's like Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, with like her hair falling out. Yeah. So this is just a very realistic and brutal war film. It's really tough to watch, both because it's disturbing and because there's not a good copy out there. But yeah, I'd love to see this film on the collection. Again, you guys haven't seen this one, but
I'm dying to see it.
Yeah, probably because it's like hard to find.
It's hard to find, exactly. And like I don't want you guys to watch it until it gets like a proper release.
Yeah. There's so many films like that too. Like
I know
that I couldn't even include on my list. I would include Come and See just because I want to see it, but there is no good transfer.
That's what was hard about making this list is a lot of the films that I would make my top 5 I've never seen.
Yeah, that's true.
Like just because of their reputation. Like another one is The Devil from 1972.
Oh my god! By Zula Wowski, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but the guy who made Possession, right?
Well, there's 2.
There is 2, but you're talking about the...
I'm talking about both. There's one in 1972.
This is the one you're talking about though, on your laptop, right? Because that's by the same director as Possession.
Yeah.
Possession is an honorable mention for my list, by the way. Just saying.
Is there no Blu-ray of Possession?
There is.
They're all very expensive.
True.
And
no, there's a Region B one.
Yeah, and they're all Region B.
You don't want to buy an expensive Blu-ray unless it's Criterion.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I was also referring to The Devils by Ken Russell.
Yeah, I know that movie too. But
yeah. Like this one I really want to see too, but there's
no
good
the one you just
that.
mentioned though from 1972, I really want to see that one. But yeah, Come and See is a fantastic film. There's like interesting history behind it as far as like the government trying to censor the film at the time and a lot of stuff like that. So yeah. That's my number 2 pick.
Great pick, man.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, moving on to my number 2. This might be the only crossover, but my number 2 is Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Right on.
Like we said earlier, it's a great film. It's one of the most unique films I've ever seen. It takes a rock album and makes a movie out of it. The music alone is amazing. The visuals is just icing on the cake. And I saw this in theaters. Well, Victor and I both saw this in theaters.
Saw that together.
And just by the first shot, the first thing I noticed was like, I could tell that the cinematography in this movie was great, but I could also tell that this movie needs a restoration or some kind of new release. And I feel like a new 4K version of this movie on the Criterion Collection would be an instant purchase for me. There are some sequences, especially the animation, but some other sequences, like there's this moment in a pool.
Yeah.
That fucking scene, like, I'm just trying to picture what that would look like.
With a good restoration.
With a good restoration. And even the sound. I mean, anyways, we already talked about that film quite a bit, so I guess we're back at Kirk here for his number one.
All right, so my number one pick kind of tackles two of my categories here, but my subheader for this one is underrepresented directors in the collection. And these directors are some of my favorite filmmakers or filmmakers I want to delve more into their filmographies that just for whatever reason aren't in the collection, either because Criterion just hasn't picked up the license to them yet, or other companies own the licensing to them. For example, Werner Herzog has a really good box set out by Shout Factory, but I'd really like to see some of his films in the collection. Mel Brooks, Peter Greenaway, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Takai Waititi for more recent directors. Gaspar Noé. Most of his films don't have like good releases, so I'd like to see those happen. But my number one pick doubles as an underrepresented director and as an underrepresented type of film, and that is Satoshi Kon, and that is animation. As far as I know, only Fantastic Mr. Fox and Fantastic Planet are the two only animated films in the collection.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well,
unless
Pink Floyd The Wall is another animated
Yeah,
one.
exactly. I wanted to bring that up earlier when you guys were saying that, but I hadn't like revealed my number one pick yet.
Obviously.
Like there are some films that combine, I guess, live action and animation. Jellyfish Eyes is one, but as far as straight animation, I believe it's only the two. Satoshi Kon is a Japanese film director responsible for some of the most important and influential anime films of all time. Satoshi Kon is fucking godly. Perfect Blue, one of his most important films, basically inspired a bunch of the most influential sequences from Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
So, my number 4, I guess, is kind of cheating because it's not my number 1 would be a box set of Satoshi Kon's 4 films: Perfect Blue, Paprika, Millennium Actress, and Tokyo Godfathers. All of these films are like really hard to find for the most part, especially Perfect Blue. Super out of print. I have a copy, but I haven't watched it yet because I'm scared to see how poor the transfer is. But Tokyo Godfathers is like one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite holiday movies as well. It's about 3 homeless people who find a baby on Christmas or like New Year's or something like that. And they just go around Tokyo looking for the mother. Every Frame of Painting did a really sick video on Satoshi Kon.
I've seen that video.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about him. He tragically died in a car accident. But overall, that was just my speaker interrupting there. But overall, I just feel like
goodbye and bye-bye.
Satoshi Kon's someone I want to experience more, and animation needs to be represented more in the collection. And especially Japanese animation, considering that that's one of the most important and influential countries for animation. All right, so that's my number 1 pick.
Great pick.
Cool.
Fair pick.
I definitely agree with you that animation needs to be represented on the Criterion Collection more. My number 1 pick would be the 1938 film, The Tale of the Fox. Yeah. This is literally the first puppet animated film ever made. So, as far as Criterion's goal of preserving or restoring important classics, I think this film would fit into the collection perhaps more than any of my other picks.
Perhaps any of our other picks, because
well, I don't want to say that.
No, just for when the film was released,
yeah.
And the fact that probably only exists on film. Mm-hmm. So restoring that's important because
it's very important. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole reason why the Criterion Collection came to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't it? Was they wanted to restore classics, make sure that they were reserving films that people should see.
Yeah. So
I totally agree. The first puppet animated film.
That's an important historical film.
Exactly, and
regardless on how good it is. Even if
it's
a
fantastic,
bad film.
but even if it is bad, but it happens to be fantastic. I mean, the animation to me holds up today.
It's also about foxes, right?
It's also about foxes, yeah. Shout out Fantastic Mr. Fox, one of my favorite films. And
we know you love your foxes.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, the influence on that film from this film is, like, really obvious when you watch it. Like, the style is very similar. It's a very cute, playful, almost creepy movie in a weird way, but I absolutely love it. And I mean, just the historical and aesthetic importance of this film just made it a really easy pick for my number one spot. So yeah, you guys should watch it. There's not many great options of watching it, which is why I want this on the collection, obviously. I emailed the collection, actually, with like a pretty lengthy email suggesting...
Really?
Respects.
Yeah.
Fucking respects.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so... Yeah, that's my number one pick.
Great
Nolan,
choice.
We'll go to your number one.
All right. Now we get to the real kind of big thing here. So you kind of know you know. Do you? I forget. Do you?
Yeah, I know your pick.
You don't know
I
my
swear
pick.
to God, if it's The Room.
No, it's not The Room. Fuck that.
No, just because of your smile. I was I was prepared.
I'm just laughing.
Nolan's been hyping up this pick for like...
That's just why I'm laughing. He just closes his laptop.
Okay, this pick is so counterintuitive, but you gotta hear me out on this one.
Okay.
Alright? I'm cheating like you are. This would be a box set, but the original Star Wars trilogy. Okay? Because how many of us and how many people do you know, like around our age, like from our generation, have actually seen the original Star Wars trilogy? Like legit seen those movies. They're some of my favorite movies of all time, but I've never seen them technically. The original
films.
the
original version?
Yeah, because
George Lucas throws in all this CGI.
Like, yeah, I as a kid, like, I saw them on VHS, so, like...
Yeah,
I don't even know if those are the...
You could...
No, they are.
No, the VHS, even the VHS
really?
versions were changed, yeah. Like, they changed... There's, like, a 90s VHS box set that are a little bit different. There's, like, the sound effects are a bit different. George Lucas threw in some extra screams or whatever. Then in the late 90s, when he was starting to, like... develop the technology that he was going to use for the Star Wars prequels, he wanted to kind of like practice those techniques, so he threw in like a bunch of CGI beings into the movies when they should not be in some of the shots. And then in the 2000s, once he finished the prequel trilogy, he threw in more things like Hayden Christensen at the end of Return of the Jedi and other things like that. Naboo and Coruscant, the planets at the end of Return of the Jedi, to kind of like connect the films together. And he just made all these changes, and like when he made those changes, he didn't make it so that you could still buy the previous versions. So they only released the newest versions that are out now. So like even myself, I have like the late 90s box set of the Star Wars movies, but they're they're not even Blu-ray, they're DVDs. And I won't even like, I want to watch Star Wars so badly on Blu-ray, but I never have in my life, and I never will want to, because like they're even altered even further.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Criterion Collection, if they somehow could, like legally and everything, if they could somehow get the original prints of all three of the original Star Wars movies, release some Blu-rays of those, I think it would just be like the ultimate collection of what is the most famous movie franchise and movie trilogy like of all time. It would just be like, I don't know, I would just feel like it would be the perfect thing to do.
Yeah, I agree to some extent. I'm hesitant just because of like Disney owns the properties.
Well, yeah, well obviously that's why I meant by the legalities of
but like also Disney does like great releases, so like I'd love to see, like if we're talking about Blu-ray wish list just in general, I'd love to see Disney just do a release of that themselves, like not even hypothetically, because Criterion's so far away from ever doing a Disney film, but like I love this idea of releasing the original trilogy. So like I don't know, like just every point you make, I totally agree with you. I'd love to see but just realistically speaking, I'd love to see Disney do it.
I don't think Disney, like, it's the same thing, though. It's like, as far as Star Wars original trilogy, I mean, I'm not an expert on all this stuff, but as far as, like, the original trilogy goes, George Lucas still, like, owns the rights to, like, I guess
The original copies?
like the copies,
The original cuts?
Yeah, all that stuff. I
have no idea, but I'd love to just see, like, here's what I'm pitching here. All right, get this. All right, Disney announces their streaming platform. They're like, all right, you Star Wars nerds, we know you want these original cuts. You can only view them on our streaming service. Think about how much money they'd make. Someone needs to propose this to Disney. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great choice. I totally agree.
Choice.
I totally agree with the sentiment there. Like,
yeah, it's like it's something
a
you wouldn't expect.
It's a hypothetical, but that's what these lists are, right?
Exactly.
So the moral of the story is Criterion releases for next month. I want to see them announce The Tale of the Fox, Satoshi Kon box set, and the original Star Wars trilogy, all right?
Original.
Like, yeah, in the title, triple original,
like
triple films, triple feature. We got the box set, the triple.
You got it right there. You fucking nailed it on the head.
Nailed it on the head. All right, so that about just wraps up this episode of the Film Lads.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
Anything to conclude? Like any announcements?
I think we all had pretty great picks.
I just like to make the statement that I love the Criterion Collection, and
yeah, I love it too. I don't own enough of.
They're expensive.
I don't own enough.
I own
Criterions.
way too many, but not enough. All right, so thanks for listening, guys. Go check out the movies we recommended, and
bye.